Elsewhere in the SEC,
right.
another ranked-on-ranked. Number 7, Kentucky, visiting number 14, Ole Miss. Rebels are riding a 12-game home win streak, but Lane Kiffin isn't happy with the lack of fans in the stadium. They're all hanging out at the Grove, having a good time. Ole Miss is a 6.5-point home favorite. Total's 54.5. Now consider this. The under has hit 11 straight Ole Miss games against FBS opponents. Tom, perhaps a principal play here.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be 12 straight. This is a game for me where these are two teams that, honestly, I don't quite know what to make of either one yet. But what I have seen on the Ole Miss side of the ball, when you look at what they've done offensively in Lane Kiffin's tenure there, you tend to think of them as an offense that could strike quickly through the passing game. Hasn't been the case this year. They are more explosive on the ground than they are in the air, and by a lot. And I think that's where they are going to lean again in this matchup against Kentucky, who on its own is not an explosive offense at all. They have hit some big plays through the air against teams like Miami of Ohio and Northern Illinois. But the rushing game that you've kind of seen from this Wildcats offense in the recent seasons is non-existent. And part of that is because Chris Rodriguez has been suspended. He is returning this week. Possibly that will be a boost for them. But of the bigger concern for me, that offensive line has been bad. Like, if you look at a lot of the advanced stats, this is a team that is ranked in the, outside of the top 100 in a couple of key numbers that you look at when it comes to trying to judge an offensive line in its run blocking and in its pass blocking. And I think that's a serious problem for the Wildcats, who are now going to be stepping up in class a little bit as far as the level of competition. I know they played Florida earlier this year, and that was a nice win, but I don't think the Gators are nearly as good as that win over Utah to open the season suggested. I think this will be their toughest test so far. It's on the road against a good Rebels team. It's going to be kind of ugly. I don't think it's going to be a rock fight. It's not going to be what we saw with Auburn and Mizzou last week, but I don't think it's going over this total either.
Yeah, Tom's right about Kentucky's offense not being explosive. And since I agree, you can definitely send mean tweets to Tom Fornelli at Tom Fornelli on Twitter, not me, because Tom hasn't got enough of those so far this week. But no, I'm going to take the Rebs, and I'm going to lay those points. Lane Kiffin, I understand he's mad about the fan support. I think it's because it's an early morning, 11 o'clock Central Time game. I also think he's never really hung out in the Grove because he's coaching games at the time. If he had been in the Grove, he'd probably understand why people are leaving early, because it's a lot of fun. But they run the football. Quinshon Junkins, I think, is one of the best running backs in the country. Him with Zach Evans together, both of these guys are flat-out studs. And then you put Mingo and Heath outside. Both of those guys, I think, will help this passing game get going. And it's something that Lane Kiffin, I think, of all the things that we need to worry about, of all the air quote weaknesses that Ole Miss has, it's the passing game, and I think we all trust Lane to solve that. I think they'll do that against Kentucky, and I just don't see Kentucky scoring. The offensive line's bad. Chris Rodriguez, yeah, he'll come back. He's not going to be a superstar. He's just, they don't have what it takes to win the battle at the line of scrimmage, and that's how you beat this Ole Miss team, because it's a pretty darn complete football team.
11 a.m. kickoff there in Oxford, Mississippi.
Local time.
Gonna need a little afternoon siesta there in Oxford to make it through the rest of the night after an early morning with some Bloody Marys and maybe a mimosa along with the bourbon.
Love a good mimosa.
At the Grove.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.